let's look at some rook-queen checkmate combinations. In this spot, white decides to take. We're going to open up the H file. Idea is we could possibly set something up with the queen and the rook. We take there, we sneak our queen out, we get lucky, white doesn't catch. In this game against the Wally bot, we're going to finish the game with a queen-rook checkmate, but we're going to start by sacrificing the bishop to open it up. After the pawn takes, we're going to take with the rook first, giving what the rook does basically provides help for the queen. Now we can bring our queen in for the check. And there is a knight involved, but we're going to be able to leverage the rook here. Just keep pushing it, keep pushing the king to the other side of the board. And after this move right here, well, we got lucky. There was a knight to help protect the rook, which allows us to move the queen over. And then after that move right there, we would have had several variations. We could checkmate here, but we got a rook check here, a queen check, and then we finish it off with a rook check, and the knight protection doesn't matter in that spot. After black pulls its rook to attack the advancing b pawn, we've got a mating pattern here. Going to check with the queen, and now we're going to sacrifice the queen, which forces the rook to take and allows us to finish with a checkmate from the rook. Queen rook versus queen rook. Black to move. Black decides to put our queen in trouble. That's okay. We've got a check by the rook, and that's important because, well, black has a number of options. If black were to go here, that's game, right? So black doesn't do that. Instead, black decides to go here with the king. Now we check with the queen. If black blocks with the pawn, we've got checkmate. Alternatively, as played in the game, black decides to move its king, but we've also got checkmate with the queen to e8. In this spot, the idea is to bring the rook here and then attack this pawn. We're also going to be leaving this rook hanging. We feel like we can get there in time, so we go ahead and bring it in. Did not anticipate the knight protection there. That's okay. We're going to take the knight, and of course we can dodge a back row check too. That was considered, but that's not what was played in the spot. What was played is queen takes rook, and now we've got a mating pattern. We're going to slide our queen back to f7, and then either option in this case is going to result in a checkmate. I believe in the game, let's see, black played to the corner, and we finished right there. After getting checked by black, we now have an opportunity. Of course, there's this passed pawn that's going to be converted to a queen, but we can check. And more importantly, black decides not to take. If it had taken there, okay. Well, we've got that, so maybe it's not the best idea to take. Black decides to move. That allows us to check with the queen. And then it allows us to bring the rook in. And the reason we bring the rook in is because after the king goes to b8, sorry, we can check with the queen again. And then, well, black's got two options. It decides to go in the corner. We can now check with the rook. And, yeah, only one option to defend. That's with the queen. We take there. And that's it. We've got the black pieces here. We're doing a lot of checking. We're trying to get this king in ISO. Decide to push the pawn there. And now we're in a lot of trouble. We got to come up with some checks here. Otherwise, we're going to get mated. And so we check there. We check again. Check again. Check again. And white doesn't want to draw, so we check again. Getting close to a draw. White decides to avoid it. This is a great opportunity for us. We check. And we're not going to take with the rook here for a couple reasons. Number one, well, we're going to get checkmated if we do. Number two, we've got a queen that can deliver a check. And that's important because now we've got ISO on the king. And we just have to keep checking. So we'll check there. And this is great for us. We can use a rook lift now. We'll check with the queen there. And now we're going to go ahead and check with the rook. Again, as long as we can keep delivering checks, we're good. I think white would probably be best to give up the queen here, because it can push and convert to another queen. And it's, you know, it's got the defender in that spot. Now, maybe not. But anyway, what we did in this spot, or what white did, is it took with the king, checked again, and this is a great setup for us. Now we can work the rook and queen together, check again, and finish it off right there. In this spot, we're going to check with our queen, and then we're going to pull it back, because we need defense of a number of mating combinations that black could have. Black decides to move its king in the back row. This is great for us. Now we can get a rook in place. Of course, we're leaving the knight exposed, but the knight is also helping us defend. Our queen defends one of the mating patterns. And we get lucky. Black decides to check, which is the only option there. We pull the rook back. Black takes with the queen. That's great for us because now we can finish with checkmate. In this spot, we're down material, but we've got a queen and a rook. We need to bring a defender for the rook, so we're going to take with a pawn. Of course, the pawn is not protected, but that's not the important part. The important part is now the queen is no longer defending. We check with the rook, and, well, white's in a lot of trouble. It probably should have gone to e1. It didn't, and that's it. In this spot, we're going to go ahead and check with the rook. Idea is we take the rook as an exchange, but now we're going to leverage that rook and put a lot of pressure. Black has to move its queen. We check with the rook, and now we can go ahead and check with the queen. And of course, we're going to finish it off with a checkmate from the queen. We're trying to get pressure on the king, so we decide to attack the rook. Black decides to defend with his king. Okay, next idea is to move our queen over. What's the real plan? The plan is to leverage the rook and go for a check. Black's thinking is it can take here, and if, you know, the queen gets moved out of the way, well, it's got a decent attack line. It's not a checkmate, but it's got a threat there. Alternatively, if we take with the queen, it's got that, right? Except there's one little thing that black overlooked, and that is simply we can check with the rook, and that's a fork on the queen that gives us the queen. From there, black decides to try to get its king to safety, but we can take with the queen because the rook protects it. And then we'll check again with the queen, check again with the queen. Now we're going to bring the rook in, and we'll finish it off with a queen checkmate. Black decides to move its pawn, threatening a potential checkmate. We're going to defend with the rook, and we're going to simultaneously have an offense there. Got to watch out for the back row. Going to take there. Now we're going to get our bishop involved. Black decides to threaten there. What we'll do is we'll move our other rook back to defend. Now we can take the rook in exchange, and this is great for us because we can check with the queen. But more importantly, after the king moves, there's two different ways to checkmate. That's one, and of course the other is this one. But first we're going to give up our knight. Okay, this is good for us. We're giving up a rook here, but we're going to take. That's a check. Now we can check with the queen. And the good news is there's nothing black can do to defend. And oh, by the way, our rook's can be safe. And then we'll just finish it off with a check there. This position pretty much centers around this pawn. We've got 1, 2, 3 attackers, but black has 3 defenders, right? So we decide to remove one of the defenders. Of course, our knight is exposed here, and we get lucky. Black takes, which removes the defender. Now we sacrifice the rook. Idea is to buy time with a check, thinking that the bishop will take. Bishop takes. Now we go ahead and take with a queen. Was expecting a queen to defend here. Instead, black decides to move its king. That's great news for us. We're going to set up for a checkmate with the queen and the rook, moving the rook in. Black decides to delay with a bishop check. We just take. And after black takes, we finish it off with a queen checkmate. In this spot, we check with the rook. And that allows us to bring the other rook in with a check. Of course, the rook is under threat, but we're going to move our queen in with the check, skewering the king in the process. Black blocks with the pawn, which is the only piece it can block with, and we finish with a checkmate. In this spot, we decide to threaten a checkmate with a rook, which is going to lead to a checkmate on the other side of the board. Black blocks, we take with the pawn. Okay, going to check with the queen, trying to cut off any escape routes the king can have. Now we're going to check with the rook, and the idea is to pull away the queen from defending and give our queen space because we don't want to trade here. Now we're going to simply move and check. Was expecting a bishop defense, but even if the bishop defends, we have some other stuff. After the king moves, this is great for us. Decided to check with the queen. And the thinking is we can cut off some escape routes there. Because if we check with it, let's say we check with the rook in this spot right here. Well, now white has 3 different spots it can go with his king. But if we, in this spot, check with the queen, yes, white has 3 different spots, but we have this other rook that we can attack with. And if it wants to go here, we've got all kinds of combos to remove the queen from defending. So that was the thinking there. And I believe the king moved right there. And then we went ahead and checked with the other rook, trying to get it into a corner. The king moved back. This is great for us. Number of different options here. Decided to go with a check from the rook. King hid in the corner. This is even better. Now we take the pawn there, and that's a check. And at this point, there's not much white can do, and we finish the game off right there.